So what are 5 of the most wearable spring 2024 fashion trends, and what should you be sewing this season? Hi everyone, welcome to or back to my channel. I'm Sally and this is my channel Secret Life of a Seamstress, where I love to talk all about sewing and making a handmade wardrobe. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you're all doing really well. So it's February, which must mean that spring is on the way, right? Well, I really hope so, because I don't know about you, but I am getting fed up now with winter clothes, and also I'm going to say it, sewing winter clothes as well. I have a couple of winter sews that I really want to get finished, but I think they're the kind of thing that is going to take me into spring as well. So as I always do, I've been keeping an eye on what's been coming out on the catwalk and on the high street for the upcoming spring-summer season. It's something that I really enjoy doing. I'm not a massive trend follower as such, but fashion and trends have always really interested me. So I like to have a little look and just see if there's anything I like the look of that I might want to integrate into my own wardrobe, or anything I might want to be inspired by in my sewing life for the season ahead. So when it comes to my own sewing life, I always really like to use patterns that I already have and try and change them and adapt them to bring them a little bit more up to date for the coming season. And I really hope that this video will inspire you in ways that you can do the same with some of the sewing patterns that you might already own. So without further ado, let's get into what's caught my eye for this upcoming season and how I think we can incorporate some of these trends into our own sewing lives in a really wearable way. And I hope you'll stick around to the end for my own personal favourite trend. Trend number 1 is high-waisted, wide-legged trousers. I personally am loving this wide-leg trouser trend that's around at the moment. Did anyone watch Fool Me Once on TV recently? I loved how Michelle Keegan was wearing a wide leg pair of trousers throughout that programme, and that's without mentioning all the lovely coats that she wore too. Wide leg trousers are really in at the moment, and the higher the waist the better. They're being worn with knitwear, shirts, t-shirts and tank tops as well. You can style them up for the office with high heels or a pair of high-heeled sandals, or you can dress them down with flat sandals, or my personal favourite, a nice comfy pair of trainers or pumps. This high-waisted style is really great news if you are on the shorter side like me, because wearing a high waist can really elongate your legs and immediately make you look taller. The key to this style is to make sure that whatever you're wearing on your top half, you wear it tucked in. This style works really nicely with a more fitted top as well, because your waist is clearly defined and clearly highlighted then, which immediately makes your legs look longer. So how might we want to interpret this trend in our own sewing lives this season? Most of the trousers on the high street this season do have that more sort of tailored look to them. So they have a fitted waistband, often a zip fly, sometimes pleats and pockets as well. So if you do want to go down that more tailored route, some of the sewing patterns that I've found that I think would work really nicely are, first of all, the Liesl & Co Cans trousers. So these have some pockets, they have lovely back darts for shaping, belt loops and also a sash belt as well, but obviously you could replace that sash tie with one of your own belts or a nice statement belt too, and that would be really on trend. Another great pattern would be the super popular Closet Core Mitchell trousers. These have a lovely tailored feel to them. They have welt pockets, side ties and a front fly zip as well. Another great pattern would be this New Look one. I've included this one because I love the super wide legs on these trousers. These have this tailored feel as well, with pockets, a zip fly and a nice fitted waistband. So I think any of these patterns would fit the bill for this trend really well. But if you don't fancy all the hard work that comes with sewing a pair of tailored trousers, or perhaps you're a beginner and your sewing skills aren't quite there yet, you could go down the elasticated waist trouser route, and there are loads of elasticated waist pairs of trousers on the high street as well. In terms of sewing patterns, I'm going to let you into a little secret. On my sewing table at the moment, so to speak, I have a pair of Tyra trousers by Ploem Patterns, all ready to sew from a lovely wool mohair blend fabric in black that I got from Fabric Godmother recently. So this pattern is a great one if you are a beginner. It has a few details to it, so it does have the front slanted pockets, it has a nice easy to fit elastic waistband, and the legs are nice and wide too. I cannot wait to get my pair sewn up, and I look forward to sharing those with you soon. Another great pattern would be the Stylark Fifi trousers. With these ones you've got a bit more of a wider waistband. They also have the nice wide leg and pockets as well, so they'll be super comfy to wear. I've also included this Simplicity pattern. This would be a lovely easy one if you are a beginner. It's just a super easy pair of elasticated waist wide leg trousers, and there aren't even any pockets to sew with these. What I loved about this one, especially for beginners, is that it does specifically say that it's great for hacking. So if you do kind of get your confidence going while you are sewing up these trousers, there are different things that you can add to them if you want to. In terms of fabric, if you're going to be sewing a pair of wide leg trousers, I think you need a fabric with weight and drape. A cotton twill, a suiting fabric, maybe a linen blend, or even like a wool blend fabric, or perhaps a ponte as well. There are loads of ponte trousers around on the high street. Ponte is really easy to sew, and because it is a knit fabric, it's really comfy to wear as well. So it's just something to consider if you want to go down that route. Trend number 2 is white dresses. So this is a trend that I personally am loving because I don't think there's anything more summery than a super white dress, is there? Although perhaps they're not always practical if you have kids or a dog, or if you go outside or even eat. White dresses are taking on all sorts of silhouettes on the high street, from fit and flare, slinky shift, mini, midi or maxi. They're being worn sleeveless or with sleeves as well. In terms of fabrics, there's lots of sheers and silks and laces and tulles. I'm never quite sure how you say that word, but I think you know what I mean. So almost sort of bridal feeling fabrics are around on the high street and on the catwalk too. So in terms of how we can interpret this trend in our own sewing lives, I think all you really need is to hunt out your favorite dress pattern, grab yourself a white fabric, and I think you're good to go. But I do think there are other ways that we can introduce a bit of fun with this trend this season too. So if you are a fit and flare dress kind of girl, similar to this beautiful dress that I found in Ted Baker, grab your favorite fit and flare dress sewing pattern and consider adding a lace overlay to the bodice or the skirt, or both if you're feeling really fancy. Some of my favourite fit and flare dresses include the Sew Over It Betty dress, the Christine Haynes Emery dress, which is an oldie but a goodie, and also the Avid Seamstress day dress as well. You might have some of those patterns in your pattern stash already. There are various ways that you can add a lace overlay to a dress, but my favourite and I think most easiest way is to just cut 2 layers of fabric from all of your pattern pieces and sew the dress together as one. Shirt dresses are going nowhere, which is great because I love a shirt dress. I think they will always be my favourite. So if you do have a shirt dress in your pattern stash, consider sewing it up this season in a crisp white linen. If you want a little more, maybe go down the broderie anglaise or cutwork fabric route and you'll be right on trend. If you fancy a really dramatic shift or slip dress look, then grab your favourite shift dress pattern. A few of my favourites are the Ultimate Shift Dress by Sew Over It. The Style Arc June dress is another good one. Or this new look pattern, which had the nice boxy style and shape that I think we're seeing all over the high street, so I thought this one would work really well. So you could sew this up in a nice plain white fabric, or you could consider adding a really dramatic sheer overlay in a chiffon or a tulle. All around on the catwalk were these kind of dramatic shift style dresses with a really fancy sheer overlay. So you could add an overlay in the same way as I just mentioned and cut it a little bit longer in length so that you're giving that sort of flash of leg. You could also add some nice sheer sleeves if you wanted to as well, and that would fit the bill perfectly. If you want to be really dramatic, you could consider adding a nice chiffon bow to the back of your dress, similar to what we've seen on the catwalk, but you might get a few funny looks when you're popping down to Tesco in the middle of the day. So on to trend number 3 then, which is shorts. So on the catwalk this season, shorts were being worn super short, and I mean super short, far shorter than I would ever dare to wear them. I personally am a huge fan of shorts in the summertime though, so I am planning to find ways that I can bring this trend into my wardrobe in a more wearable way. And here's how. So thankfully on the high street things are a little bit more conservative, which I am personally pleased about because it makes everything a little bit more wearable. I'm loving the kind of smart classic styles that there are out there. A lot of the styles on the high street seem to be a more sort of tailored look, similar to the wide leg trousers, and there are also a lot of sailor styles out there too. In terms of length, shorts seem to be worn sort of mid-thigh or sometimes even longer, just above the knee, think Bermuda style. And they're being styled with shirts and blazers, sometimes sort of vests and waistcoats and things like that as well. So they're worn in a really sort of smart, casual way, which I quite like. So a few patterns I've found that I think would suit this style really well are, first of all, the Vicky Sews Ruth shorts. These have a really classic style with a zip fly, pleats, pockets and turn-ups. If you want to go down the sailor style route, then this Vogue pattern is a great one to try. It has that really classic sailor style look with the side buttons and pleats. These are also a little bit longer in length as well, so a little bit more modest than some of the styles out there. And lastly, I found this lovely pattern on Etsy. Again, this is going down the more tailored route with a nice fitted waistband, pleats, pockets and belt loops as well. I think any one of those patterns would really fit the bill for this style. Of course, if you do already have a pattern for a pair of tailored trousers in your stash, just consider cutting them to short length and that might work really well too. Again, in terms of fabrics, I think you're looking for a fabric with both weight and drape, similar to the trousers. So linens would work really nicely. You get a really nice crisp pleats with a linen, or you could go for a cotton twill again, or even like a suiting weight fabric. All of those kind of fabrics would work really nicely. If you're feeling a bit more casual, don't worry, elasticated waist shorts are still really big on the high street. Sew them from a linen, a double gauze or a jersey with a nice easy drawstring waist and you'll still be right on trend. My personal favourite pattern for a nice elasticated pair of shorts is the Spring Shorts by Peppermint magazine, and best of all, it's free as well. The next trend I've chosen to include today is utility. The utility and workwear style clothing is really on the uprise again this season, with boiler suits and cargo pants and chore jackets all being really popular. But this trend is also making its way into skirts and shirts for this season as well. In terms of colours, the most popular colours around seem to be sort of earthy tones like mustards and browns and khaki greens. There are lots of sharp lines and boxy shoulders and pockets galore. Even the most classic of shirts are given extra pockets for a utility style feel, and 90s style cargo skirts are making a comeback too. Jackets are worn in quite heavyweight fabrics with collars and yet more pockets. I love this boiler suit from And Other Stories. The black with the white stitching is really lovely, and I think this one from John Lewis looks super casual and nice and comfy to wear as well. I've not made a boiler suit yet, but maybe it's on the cards for this spring, who knows. So in terms of sewing patterns, here are a few of my favourites, and I'll put money on the fact that you can guarantee what my first pattern is going to be. Yes, it's my absolute favourite pattern of the moment, the Ilford jacket by Friday Pattern Company. I think this pattern suits this chore jacket style perfectly. It's really wearable, it can be super easy to sew, and it includes a wide range of different pockets that you can mix and match and really go wild for that utility feel. I also thought I would include this simplicity pattern. This is a similar style chore jacket, but the sleeves included in this one are a little bit wider and I quite like that style. It also includes a mandarin collar, so if you prefer to go down that route, then you could opt for that instead. The Merchant & Mills Sander coat is another great one. I really like the shawl style collar of this one. It's nice and simple and plain, and I like the fact that you can make it long or short too. In terms of boiler suits, I couldn't not include the super popular Bianca flight suit by Closet Core Patterns, and I love the fact that you can make it with either a wide or a tapered leg. So over it I have a lovely take on the boiler suit in their Farrah jumpsuit. I really like the style of this one. It has a nice comfy elasticated waist and seems a little bit more relaxed to me than the Bianca flight suit. In shirts, my favourite option for this one would be to just whip out your favourite shirt pattern and get adding pockets to it. My favourite shirt pattern would probably be the Lyra by Tilly and the Buttons. It is a shirt dress, but I know lots of people have hacked this pattern into a shirt, and I believe that there is actually a tutorial for how to do this on the Tilly and the Buttons website. So if you do have that pattern in your stash, definitely look at using that one. Another great couple of shirt patterns might be the Grain Line Archer. This one is quite utility already, in that it does have a lot of pockets included. So sew that one up in a khaki or a mustard and you'd be right on trend. If you do have another shirt pattern in your stash that you already love, it's really easy to draft yourself some patch pockets. There are loads of tutorials around for how to do that, but my preference is always, if you do have a pocket pattern piece that you already love, then just steal those pocket pattern pieces and attach them to your shirt as well, and you're good to go. Just a quick mention for cargo skirts before I move on, although personally I'm not sure I'm ready to go back down that route since I was already there for the first time around in the 90s. My preference would always be to grab your favourite skirt pattern and again just add some pockets to the side seams. But if you do fancy a pattern that's ready to go, then consider this one from Etsy. It looks lovely and comfy to wear with its elasticated waist, and it has those utility style pockets included as well. So on to my last and final trend for this upcoming season, which I've just entitled a little bit of boho chic, because what I want to include is kind of broad range, but I think this is actually my favourite section because I really love the styles that I'm seeing coming out on the high street in terms of super floaty blouses, lots of lace, sheer fabrics, batiks and bohemian florals. There are loads of lovely blouses around on the high street at the moment, and they can be full-on lace, broderie anglaise, lace trimmed, include a pretty cutwork detail, or be really sort of full-on boho with batik embroidery and pretty florals too. Necklines are billowy and gathered and can include tassels and ties, and sleeves are ballooned and cuffed to give a really floaty, summery feel. It's definitely a little bit of me, this trend. It's what I absolutely love. I can't get enough of lace and broderie anglaise, so I am really, really excited for this one. In my humble opinion, Suzanne are doing this amazingly this season. I cannot get off their website at the moment. I think I absolutely love everything in their new collection. So how am I planning to interpret this look for my wardrobe this season? Well, for me, I think I'm going to be digging out all of my blouse sewing patterns and just giving them a lacy embroidered feel. I'm thinking the Anthea blouse in a beautiful cutwork cotton. Those big balloon sleeves would be super on trend, and they'd work so well in a beautiful broderie anglaise fabric, I think. If you wanted to be really high street 2024, if you were going to be sewing the Anthea blouse, you could quite easily add a nice frill to the neckline and you'd be right on trend. If you want to go down that button-up route but you're not keen on the high neck of the Anthea, then the Norma blouse by Fibre Mood is another great option. The sleeves on the Norma are slightly less poofy than the Anthea, so in my opinion, the Norma blouse can be sometimes a little bit more wearable. I think the Norma would work perfectly, again, in a cotton or a batik or a broderie anglaise or something like that. Patina blouse by Friday Pattern Company is another blouse pattern that I absolutely love. For me this season, I'm considering removing that collar and just having the blouse V-neck, and adding a lovely lace or broderie anglaise trim to the button band and neckline. I think that would work really nicely and look very Suzanne. If you're going to be sewing your blouse from a solid fabric, then pale pastels are really in. So think pale pinks, chambray blue, white and cream, of course, are really into. All of my favourite colours. I'm so excited for this season. So in terms of fabric for these kind of makes, I'll be looking for some lovely sort of silk blends, maybe a nice drapey viscose or a rayon. I think that would work really well in that kind of blouse. There are loads of lacy blouses around on the high street at the moment, and again, I think it's just worth looking in your stash and seeing what you already have. Again, if you're looking to sew a simple shift style top from a lace fabric, a few other patterns that I think would work really well are the Sew Over It shift dress pattern. This is a really simple style top, but I think it's so hackable. So again, using a lace is going to completely change the look and feel of that pattern, and you could consider adding a different sleeve to it. So I'm thinking perhaps you could add the Anthea sleeve to that shift style top, or you could maybe add a nice gathered sagebrush sleeve to it too, and that might work. Something that's just occurred to me while I've been talking is that you could actually wear the Anthea blouse back to front. That would give you a really nice plain blouse pattern that would lend itself really nicely to a broderie anglaise or an embroidered fabric as well, similar to that Suzanne style top that I've just shown. If you prefer a pattern that's ready designed for you, I did find this lovely one on Etsy. This has a nice simple style bodice with some really pretty on-trend balloon sleeves. I love how it's been styled in the pattern image, and I think if you were to make that as it is, you'd be right on trend. For the more boho style open necked blouse, a good couple of patterns that you could use are first of all the Roscoe blouse by True Bias. This one has that really sort of billowy peasant style vibe. There's also the Zadie blouse by Sew Over It, which I think is more understated, but it has all the key elements that we're seeing on the high street in the gathered neck and the gathered sleeves as well. The Anthea blouse hack that's available on the Anna Allen website is also a really good one if you want this more peasant style feel. If you have the Anthea blouse pattern already, I believe you can download this hack for free. And if you sewed it from a rose or a large print floral fabric, it would fit the bill perfectly as well. For the more floaty peasant style blouses, florals are definitely what's in terms of prints. So I think you can really have fun with what you use to sew these blouses up. So So that concludes my roundup of 5 of the most wearable fashion trends for 2024 and how we can bring them into our own sewing lives. Let me know what trend is your favourite. Is there anything that you hate and definitely won't be trying? I'd love to know that too. I hope today I've inspired you even a little bit in your sewing plans for spring and summer. I know my mind is wearing now and I can't wait to get going with my own spring and summer sewing. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more lovely sewing content. Take care, and I'll look forward to seeing you in my next video soon. Bye.